All right, let's just get right into it. We are going to completely tear down this idea that society has about success. You know, the timelines they give us, we're going to see why they're not just wrong, but why they might actually be holding you back from your greatest work.
Man, this one hits hard, doesn't it? Because deep down, it feels kind of true. There's this unspoken judgment out there that if you didn't make it by 30, you're probably never going to. They'll call it being realistic, but it feels like you're being written off. And the worst part? We actually start to believe them.
You know that question, it's that little voice in your head, right? The one that pops up when you see someone younger getting all the praise, or when a well-meaning relative asks you, "So what are you up to these days?" It's that whisper that says, "I should have this all figured out by now." But what if that feeling isn't a sign that you're late? What if it's a sign that you've been lied to?
Okay, first things first. We have to dismantle the biggest lie we're all told. It's this quiet, creeping idea that our ambition, our potential, it has an expiration date. That if you haven't hit your peak yet, you're already falling behind. And you see this message everywhere, even if no one says it out loud. You see it in the tech world's obsession with 20-something billionaires. You see it in Hollywood. You see it in job ads. The culture just subtly suggests that if you're over 40 and you're still figuring things out, still trying new things, it doesn't look like strength. It looks like you're failing, just dressed up in delusion.
So here's the big clash, right? On one side, society is screaming that you need to peak by 30, that speed is everything. But the quiet reality? It's something else entirely. For so many truly impactful people, they spent decades, forging their depth. Their delay wasn't a mistake, it was protection. It was them building real substance while everyone else was just chasing the spotlight.
But why is this whole obsession with getting ahead early so off, so misleading? Well, it's because the entire myth is built on this really shaky foundation that confuses being young with actually having value.
This idea from Napoleon Hill is absolutely crucial to understand. That voice in your head, the one saying, "It's just too late for me," that's not your intuition talking. It's a program. It's a piece of software that was installed by a culture repeating this lie over and over and over until it became your default setting, your autopilot.
And here's the core issue. When success comes before you've built a rock-solid sense of who you are, it's usually incredibly fragile. It's built on what other people think, on their applause. It becomes more about performance than about purpose. And that, right there, is why so many people who win big early often flame out just as fast. They built their house for the applause, not for the storms.
So, if early success is so fragile, what's the alternative? Well, it's about embracing the unique strengths, I'm talking actual superpowers, that are forged during that very period of what the world calls delay.
Now look, these aren't just buzzwords. These are earned advantages. After years of just living, you develop pattern recognition. You just see things others don't. You build real resilience from getting knocked down, not once, but over and over again. Your ego finally takes a back seat, and you stop needing to prove yourself, and you just want to build something real. And finally, you find authenticity, what Carl Jung called individuation, becoming who you truly are. And let's be honest, that almost never happens in your 20s.
And if you think this is just some nice theory, let's talk about some real-world legends. Colonel Sanders had failed at a dozen careers before he started KFC, at 65. Vera Wang didn't even design her first dress until she was 40, after careers as a figure skater and a journalist. They weren't late. They bloomed precisely when they were meant to.
Okay, so this is the most important part. How do we actually make this shift inside our own heads? Because it's not enough to just know this stuff. We have to actively reprogram that autopilot that's been running our whole lives.
And Napoleon Hill gave us the exact tool for this: autosuggestion. It's a simple, powerful idea. You can consciously overwrite your old programming by deliberately, intentionally repeating a new message. Think about it. Most of us have been practicing this our whole lives, but we've been using it for self-sabotage. It's time to finally use it for ourselves.
This stuff right here, this is the enemy. This is the script we have rehearsed so many times it feels like our personality. These phrases sound so reasonable, so mature, but they are poison. They're weapons aimed directly at your own future. Every time you repeat them, you're just reinforcing that old, broken program.
Now, let's flip that. This is the rehearsal for your new identity. And listen, you don't have to fully believe it on day one. You just have to say it, deliberately, every day. That feeling that it's fake or you're lying to yourself, that's actually the first sign it's working. It means you're introducing a new idea into the system. You're not pretending. You are leading your mind where you want it to go.
But listen, this is a huge warning.
You can do all this internal work, but if you step right back into conversations and environments that are full of negativity and limitation, you will sink. It's that simple. The conversations you tolerate become the code your subconscious runs on. You have to become a ruthless gatekeeper for your own energy.
And that brings us to the final and most powerful phase of this whole journey. It's what happens after all the quiet work is finally done. It's all about your emergence, your return. I want you to let this one really sink in. That confusing, quiet, in-between time, where you're not who you used to be, but you're not quite who you're becoming yet, that's not a sign you're lost. It is a sacred period of reconstruction. It's the void where the new you is being built, brick by brick, where no one else can see it.
This is the chapter of the story that nobody ever posts on Instagram. It can be lonely, and it's definitely quiet. But this season of invisibility is where the deepest change actually happens. It's not a breakdown, it's a total remodel. You don't just come back a little better, you come back transformed.
If you study history's most fascinating and impactful people, you see this exact pattern over and over. They disappeared. They went quiet. People forgot about them. They were misunderstood. They endured that silence of reinvention. And then they returned, different, clearer, and completely undeniable.
So you see, this isn't really about you catching up. This is about you meeting a deep, unspoken need in our culture. We are drowning in speed and noise, but we are absolutely starving for substance, for wisdom, for maturity. Your long journey wasn't a liability. It was the very thing that has prepared you to provide what the world is secretly craving. You're not here to compete on their terms. You're here to redefine the entire game.
And this is the final thought I really want to leave you with. After the silence, after the reinvention, when you reemerge, it won't be some quiet announcement that people might miss. No. It will be a shift in the energy of the room, a presence so defined, so powerful, that it becomes quite simply unavoidable.